My name is Jacqueline Avola. I'm from Westboro, Mass, but I am now living in Washington, D.C., working as the manager of Game Press for the Washington Capitals. I was always a really big Bruins fan. I definitely hopped on the 2011 Cup bandwagon. But in terms of a career, I was looking into either like psychology or maybe like being a vet because I really love dogs. So I was like looking at that, and then I realized, maybe that just wasn't for me, and it was possible to make a career out of one of my hobbies and passions, which was hockey. So when the Railers came to town when I was in college, I was like, oh, this could be a good place to start. When I started with the Railers, I was an intern. The team hadn't even, they didn't have a roster yet. It was 2016, 2017, and we didn't start playing until the fall of 17. So I was here, part of the front office as an intern. I was doing really random jobs, and I guess the sponsorship department needed some help. So I started kind of helping out the sponsorship team at that time. That's kind of how I grew into my role of being the corporate fulfillment person. And then when there was an opening in the game presentation, game operations department, since I had been working with that person so closely and kind of knew the show really well, I kind of slid into that role, and then I became manager, director, I don't even remember. I think it was director of game operations and corporate fulfillment. Opening night, year one, is definitely like etched in my mind. We had to sell out crowd, 12,135. I'll never forget that number. It was just incredible, and it was amazing for me to be like, I work for a hockey team, and this is like our first game ever. Like, we got this up off the ground running ourselves. It was just really, really cool. I started in Worcester. Everything I learned was here in Worcester. Straight out of college, like I said, I was an intern, so my roots were here. I learned everything here. And then just moving on to Washington, I was just able to apply what I already knew and just kind of put it on a bigger scale. When I first started, the woman I looked up to in the sports industry, she wasn't actually working in the sports industry at the time, but she used to. It was my professor at Assumption, Libby O'Hara. She was my advisor. Actually, she became my advisor after I asked her to. And she would always, her teaching style was telling stories, so she would always tell us about her stories, like courtside, on the field, everything that she did in her career, and I learned a lot from her experience and through her storytelling and her examples. Yeah, I definitely think female representation is important. I think there was one point where I was the only female in the office for a little bit of time, so getting more girls in is definitely a good thing, and there's people out there that are passionate about it, and they might just be scared to break into the field, so I would just encourage people to go for it. Just be willing to try new things. Like, I said sure when they asked me to help out with sponsorship, and then I said sure when I started helping out with Game Press, and it kind of helped me figure out what I liked and didn't like. So just being open to trying new things. Don't marry yourself to one sport. That's that's a Libby piece of advice. Sports industry is competitive, so you're lucky if you get the sport you like, but it's okay to get experience in other sports. It'll only make your resume stronger for when you go for the dream job.